Welcome to New Realities. I'm Alan Steinfeld, along with the lovely
Sarah Adams.
And who are we talking to today, Sarah?
The lovely and beautiful Marie Rodwell.
and not only that, Mary happens to be an old friend of mine. We actually vacationed together once. And she's a big part of this new book. I'm going to send it to you, Making Contact, Preparing for the New Realities of Extraterrestrial Existence. It's actually here in book form and looks very nice, Mary. Your chapter's great.
Oh.
And we'll do a separate interview about what your chapter's about, but I'm so happy you're joining us today. What do you want to talk to Mary about? Because
aliens, the best subject.
Aliens, of course.
Aliens, yes.
Do you know Sarah's experience with aliens, Mary?
No, please.
Yeah, tell her.
I think, haven't we done like a podcast together in the past or something at one point? Yes, and I think we talked about maybe star children and hybrids and how they are incarnating on the planet to help out with the awakening. So that's very precious and important to me because the ETs, they have so much love and compassion for those children and they're doing the best to help them. So that was a beautiful podcast. So maybe we can touch upon that subject today too.
And also maybe any new information that you're getting.
Yeah. Yes, new information. I have some, we can just bring in the new information.
Well, let me tell you what a 9-year-old, a very recent, I'll give you a bit of an idea of this 9-year-old who's been visited, he said, since he was 5 years old. And he talked about the little beings that have black eyes and gray skin. And they were part of a science team, he said. And they told him that he was special. Now, what's interesting here is that he talked about being a time traveler. And let me explain what he was saying here. He said he's a time traveler from the future. His real form is not his body that he inhabits now. In that form, he was genderless. His mother said he had no idea. She had no idea he knew this. He said his alien form is really us from the future. They are us, we are them. And he was also explained that he had no nails and just 4 fingers. So this is him from the future, and this is us from the future. Okay, so wrap your head around that one. One of the interesting things he said that he was visited at least once a week with other children like him, taken on board a craft. He said that he had an in-depth education from these aliens. He calls aliens the older, taller beings, which had an IQ of 400, he was told. He also explained that when they take him on board, he went to explain ultraviolet light as a creation spectrum. He says the alien showed him what it creates. And I think, 400. And let me say what he said about God. This will interest Alan. They told him many things, showing him on a screen dinosaurs and future times. He spoke in depth about God. God, the mother said, I never mentioned ever to him. He said the older, bigger aliens told him God is not what most people think. And they showed him a vortex-type black hole that isn't a black hole, but is a violet light that creates.
Yes, the ancient light.
Do you know that?
Yes.
And the aliens don't know who created it or when. So how's that for a 9-year-old explaining?
That's pretty amazing. But what's your experience with the ancient light?
So let me just go back to the whole ET body thing. So I've had this stuff happen since a child. Before I came into this body, and I know putting this body on is just like putting on, clothing. So I came into this body and they did tell me that, they use ultraviolet light, by the way, on me. So let's say I've done too much work in the realms or I need to be recharged because there's not a lot of charge in the food. They bring me into the spaceships, into the sort of like a med bed and lay me in there. It's somewhat similar to the sarcophagus. And this violet light passes over me, which regenerates me and rejuvenates me and charges me. So they're doing a lot of this, they said, to the hybrid children. And recently they also said that the DNA that they're putting in humanity, specifically the children right now, they're not breaking any cosmic laws, because that DNA is really helping with the ascension. And that's where humanity is going. That this is one sort of, how can you put it, experience in this body, but in the future, they will definitely incarnate in other ET bodies and have experiences there. So that kind of correlates what you're saying, that this child said, correlates with what I've been told that they're doing.
But let me ask you both, what do we do with this information? How do we get to inform a bigger population that this is a reality? Mary and Sarah?
Well, for me, what I'm doing more and more is interviews right across the globe. I've just spoken to a group in Dubai yesterday, and they're starting a new organization about informing the culture that they're in, for example. So there is this, and the internet is doing a job that I don't think it was necessarily meant to do, in the sense that it's enabling all of us to connect. And as we're connecting, we're also sharing frequencies, we're sharing information, we're activating each other. And this is really important. One of the things Dr. Lena Olson, the molecular biologist who had experiences, says it's almost like it's a frequency like a virus. And I hate to use that term, but what it's doing is it's activating others through hearing the information, through the frequency of this information. So this is how those are picking it up, even with those that are awake, you know, like I'm hearing here, is that this will come from her in her energetic field, so that wherever she goes,
right,
people who access that field will actually also pick it up, like Sarah was.
That's what they were. Yeah, that's what they were saying. They were saying that basically I'm like a Stargate, a portal. So the information comes down into me and then it goes out into the planet and into the masses. You know, I want to go back to that ultraviolet kind of like hole, because I went through it once and I went on the other side and there was this other creation. That's all I can explain. And I stayed there a while before I came back through it. So they did say like that certain black holes you can access this other place. So we're in a bit, for me, I was told we're in a bit of quarantine in this universe until consciousness is elevated, and the black hole is there to keep anything from passing to this other creation that shouldn't pass. So I'll kind of rip it apart. Unless you're completely in alignment and God consciousness, then you're allowed to pass through there. When I went on the other side, it was almost, I would say like heaven. It was almost like heaven. So then I asked the ETs about this, and the ETs told me, okay, so we actually they have their council. They're like, we have our councils, but then we go to the councils of the spirits that come from the light, or who hold the ancient light within them, which is a higher echelon of councils that, you know, they get instructions from and information from. So that's what they told me about that. So they called them that come from this light, the spirits that hold the ancient light within them.
Wow, that's great. That's beautiful. Have you heard that one before, Mary?
Not the ones that hold the ancient light. I mean, ascended masters, some talk about the ascended masters that may or may not be what they were referring to as well, because most people know about the ascended masters, unless there's another echelon, because we're hearing. There's interdimensionals, extra-dimensionals, trans-dimensionals, and of course, visitors from our future. So we've got lots of different frequencies of dimensions where different awareness and understanding and spirit and these highest, higher, more expanded, higher consciousness are. And this is interesting in the sense that one of the 10-year-olds I spoke to in the last few months told me he was visited by light beings, and he comes from a planet of light, where he said that they manifest instantly, whereas here he said it's a lot denser, so it takes longer to manifest, he explained. But so, you know, that fits in with both the things that you're saying, is that he's coming from a different dimension with a higher frequency into planet Earth, and bringing with him those frequencies.
Well, you know what, it seems like both of you are sort of saying, and what I get from other people, we're in Sedona here, is that we're reaching a tipping point where the light, the infusion, the vibration is just going to perhaps wake everyone up at one moment in time. Like some of us have woken up to a level, but at some point, do you think that's gonna boom, like here we are in this other reality? Mary, you think?
Well, looking at the older models like myself and yourself, Alan.
Oh, come on, Mary.
That's a nice thing to say. That's
okay.
Nice
Okay.
We're the bridge builders.
All right.
You guys had the hardest work.
Well,
really.
Mary more than me. I mean, I had the hard work. She's a nurse, you know. But anyway, go ahead, Mary. Anyway, what about us, Mary? Yes.
Well, because a lot of the older generations have had experiences all their lives. They're in their, even as much as their 90s, you know, have said, but I've always been aware of this. Is it too late? And I said, no, if you're still here, we all have it within us. We have the DNA that just needs activating, and it's being activated just at a more accelerated rate than it ever has done before. And there will be a tipping point, I think, like the 100th monkey, where enough of the planet is awake and conscious, and then suddenly it'll be, there it is. This is it.
Yeah, so this is what they told me. They said around June, July, it's really going to get intense, and next year, because they said that there's us who are doing a lot of work to bring in that cosmic energy and channel it through, and it's going to go through us. And this is why we had to come into bodies, because we needed to anchor that energy in to this planet, into these bodies, and bring it back into everyone's DNA. So that's going to come through, and it's going to come through us into the entire population of the planet. And I was told they're like sleeping beauties. So they're going to awaken, and it's just going to be like, kind of like one day they think they're awake, but they're not truly awake. And one day they're truly going to wake up to who they are. So this is definitely something that's going to happen.
Well, you know what's happening to me? I have become very sensitive to energy and people's energy, and I cannot be around people who are low energy, or even some technology. I mean, we just in this little thing, and I felt like it brought me down to this little thing that we were, but because I have to be around, like I can't drink any alcohol. It just, because I'm feeling this sort of acceleration. And when I come into a field where that's not, I feel like, oh, what just happened? So are you getting that too, Mary, from people about that?
Yeah, absolutely. And a lot of them are saying, what's happening to me? They also notice that they're often really tired.
Right.
That seems to be part of it as well. They're saying, you know, I just want to sleep all the time, you know, which to me, I've come to understand is that as we're being activated, it's changing our whole structure and our energy fields. And as it's doing so, it's leaving us with this feeling of lethargy.
Right.
And, you know, lack of interest in things, which, you know, you feel almost like you're stuck. And I think this is because it's so much is shifting on the planet. Our bodies are trying to adjust to that.
Well, that's what's so good about Sarah. You actually have a formula for maintaining your energies. Do you know, with everything that you're doing, you want to talk about that?
Yes, I have a product called D-Spark. So it's charged with energy, because what's happening is we're bringing the energy in. And then what happens is we walk around, and it's the divine plan for the energy to come through us. So we need to keep charging. That's why the ETs charge me. I charge via my diet. I go and do etheric work. I go into the higher dimensions. So, and then I have this product that my shaman friend does with me, which is supercharged. And I take that and do that. So that really helps out. So I'm doing a lot of different things to keep myself charged. So when we're not essentially losing energy. We just, every time that we feel that charge leave, we need to learn to go and bring that charge back into us, because that charge left because the planet needs it on some level. And we're portals to the higher realms. And right now, with the elevation of consciousness going on, if we keep that charge in our body, and that's not flowing into the mass consciousness in every single person around this planet, there's going to be an imbalance. So when it goes out, I understand it has to go out. It has to go to charge others.
It does? Yes. I'm not sure about that, because I don't like feeling a loss of energy.
That's where you just got to learn to go and bring it back
Oh,
in.
bring it back.
Yes.
Yes. Well,
And this is what, in the I do symbolism. I'm not religious at all, but I do symbolism. And this is the manna they talk about in the Bible. This is also in Egypt. It's symbolic, where they opened the gold, where there's the golden grain, and the Israelites, Isis, raw light. It's all encoded, and they got the light energy into them. So it's saying basically to replenish yourself and recharge yourself, and specifically in times like this, where we know that there's a lot of chaos and imbalanced energies. We need to keep going back to the higher energies, bring them in, let them flow through us. And when it goes, be at peace, and just know that we have unlimited cosmic energies that will flow into us when we request it.
Well, I think the more we do this, and Mary, you have great energy now. I mean, I think doing these interviews and talking about this topic, don't you feel more pulsating because we're doing this work?
Absolutely. But what I find, Alan, because, and you, I know, live on your own, that's where I regenerate.
On your own. But we also can regenerate with each other, right? I mean,
yes, we can feed each other with that frequency when it's light and it's full of hope and love and, all those beautiful energies. Absolutely.
You're saying being on your, we get that. But you're also saying being on your own. What is that? How do you work with that energy?
Well, to me, it's wonderful when I can just sit in my own energy and not have to give out to anyone. So I can then regenerate and recharge. And I haven't missed not traveling. I know that you go all over the US. I see you in everything. Where's he now? Oh, he's over here.
Right.
But for me, not traveling has been brilliant, because all the energy that I would put in traveling, air travel and what have is exhausting, absolutely exhausting. Whereas now I'm at home in a lovely place where I can recharge. I'm in a country area. All of those things help to recharge. And a lot of those that have had experiences that are sensitive, the first thing that I say to them is go out into the garden, go out into the fields, or go to the ocean or whatever, because that's where you will then, pick up more energy and rebalance after you've been giving out so much.
Society is kind of rigged to make us lose energy everywhere. That's what I've noticed. Like, whether it's airports, whether it's the music, whether it's our food, it's massively rigged to make us lose energy. And I feel that's on purpose to kind of stop the ascension of the planet. And they know what they're doing. And for me, I was talking to our other friend who's doing a UFO tour down here. He did one last night. He's doing one tonight too, about this, that I've never really encountered any negative ETs that are causing the planet any problem. It was mostly this force that I ran into, and that kind of absorbs light and sucks energy. And I believe that this force wasn't mastered, because when I lived on Mars, the destruction of Mars happened because the ETs were telling me all the time travel, all the things they're doing is to learn how to master this force. And they said that we're on the brink of mastering this force rather than this force mastering us. So once we master this force and fear comes along in that force, a lot of negativity comes along, but we have to look at it and know that we are ancient beings. And like they told me originally, we come from the ancient light. They told me you're a piece of the ancient light. And so once we realize that we have this power within us, we will master that force, and we won't have any fear. And that's when enlightenment will truly happen.
When did you live on Mars? I missed that in your resume.
Can't you tell?
Oh yeah, you do look a little Martian. But anyway, that's another show. But Mary, I'm so happy you're still doing the work and you're still talking to these star seeds. Is there been a shift in the message that you're getting from these younger beings?
Well, one was speaking about the reset. Others are still talked about the new Earth. That's it, and an event. The other one is about the event, that they can't always say what that is. Others have seen visions of the craft in the sky. But I will read you just briefly what this young 12-year-old
Yeah.
A few days ago, her mother wrote to me.
Days ago. I'm
And she
glad you're
said-
still going for it, Mary. This is so important. I just want to encourage. No, it's so important that you are sort of the channel for these messages that are coming to you from these starseeds and then out into the world. Thank you.
Thank you for your work, because
Yes.
all of all the non-humans, I'm sure they love you for this, and I know they're supporting you.
Yes.
Well, I feel they're more family than this human lot down here, because I also
Except for me, right? I'm family, right?
Oh, how could I say anything different about you? But look, this is what this young 12-year-old said only a few days ago, from her connection to her being that helps her. And she said, everyone is moving dimensions, she says. The higher self of each person individually is working hard to bring into alignment the new dimensions upon Earth. Every higher self on the planet is trying to do this, even if the person is totally unaware. She actually said, therefore, certain beings are creating many negative emotional situations on Earth to keep humans from changing dimensions.
Yes.
The higher energy vibration, the less emotional we become, the more neutral in happiness and harmony with the planet and with each other and our lives. So there's a kind of energy battle going on with each person's higher self and the darker energy beings. Not everyone realizes this.
It's true. You can feel that.
Will evolve. Yeah. She says everyone will evolve to the higher dimensions eventually. No one will be left behind. It's just, it will vary in timings. These moving dimensions is happening throughout the galaxy on many other planets as well. The shift will happen to all and lift us up to a new, kinder, caring, less emotional reality, but the timings will vary, is how she's explained it.
True.
It's great. No, this is a personal battle and challenge as well as a planetary one. We have to be so aware of our energetic bodies and the subtleties, you know. If I just go into a room or someone says, have a little sip of wine, immediately I feel a lowering of my frequency. So thank you.
Yeah, there's definitely something to be said about alcohol and drugs. And I've always avoided them and never have done any of that. It definitely brings down your energy field. And the ETs always tell me, like, don't do that to your body. And my body just immediately, even if I'm around it, kind of rejects it, which is quite interesting.
I know. So do you have to, it's one.
I have to sign off, my love, because we forgot that I have to go do Jimmy Church's his live.
But can we, when are you free? I want to pick up this conversation and actually do something for you for Saturday Night Alive, Mary. So should I just reach out to you? I want to send you a PDF of the book as well. So
and I want to have you on a long show of my own. So let's schedule a podcast if you're still up for that. And I'm so sorry for all the delays we had.
So good.
I'm still threatening to visit you when the borders open, Mary. Queensland, Northern Queensland. We're up there. I'll deliver this book personally to you, but it might be a while. But this is it just went #1 on the new releases for UFO books. So excellent. And you are key and you are key. So thank you. I'm going to send a PDF anyway. I'll reach out to you soon, Mary. Thank you.
Thank you, my love. It's always a joy seeing you.
Yes, Mary, and she has that sense of humor. And you always have that little edge there, which makes us all so human and loving. And thank you, Mary. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Blessings to both of you. It's been a pleasure. Take care. So
Mary Rodwell, ladies and gentlemen. Any bylines? Your website again is ACERN, right?
Yes, or the alien lady.
The alien lady. That's right. You are the alien lady. Okay. Lots of love, Mary. See you soon. Bye.
Take care.